Hello everyone, this is Diane Conrad-Lasavita from Colony Seniors, and I'm thrilled that we're having yet another Let's Have a Conversation. Today's conversation is with Marjorie Ward, local artist extraordinaire. And so I'm absolutely thrilled. She's invited Michael and I right into her kitchen table where she does so many of her creations. So Marjorie, thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
I'm glad to have you here. Actually, I was going to tell you this is my studio, which I have cleverly decorated as a kitchen, but you ruined it for me.
Yeah, so, and I don't know if the camera shows behind you, but you have a mug collection.
This is when we travel, this is what we do. So
you acquire a piece of pottery.
And we can also use it, so.
Right, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Oh,
But don't ask me where they're all from, because I probably won't remember most of them. But.
Thank you again for having us. So we're going to start at the very beginning, if you don't mind. So where were you born and where did you grow up?
I was born and spent the first big part of my life in Portage, Wisconsin, which is a small city, about 8,000, well now about 8,000 people, that maybe 7,000, just north of Madison. So if people ask where I'm from, I usually just say Madison, because it's...
Everybody knows Madison.
Although
right?
Portage does have a sign that says it's where the north begins, but I don't know how they figured that out. I don't know, maybe it's where the south ends, I don't know, but anyway. But so I went all through Catholic grade school, public high school, and then went on to one of the state university campuses for my bachelor's degree.
Wonderful.
And worked in Madison and met Russ, and in 1974 we moved out here, and we've been here ever since.
So brothers, sisters?
I have an older brother and a younger sister.
And so growing up in Madison, Wisconsin, thereabouts, what was life like? So you're in a small community. Did they appreciate art? Did you know then you enjoyed?
Is such an interesting part of my life, because I was identified, back then they kind of put you into categories. I was identified as college bound. So I was taking all the college prep courses and math and English and all that, and honestly I don't even know where the art room was in that high school. I honestly don't. It was never an option for me. The first time I ever actually took an art course was when I was in college, and I talked my way into a ceramics course, which was supposed to only be for art majors, and I wasn't, so they wouldn't let me work on the wheel. I had to take, hand built, but in the end, the professor chose one of my pieces for the student art show, and it just infuriated some of the art students because
you weren't one of them.
I wasn't one of them. So, but otherwise, high school, it was a great place to grow up.
Yeah.
And there wasn't, in the summertime, we rode our bikes, we went swimming, we roller skated. In the winter, just, ice skating and all, but it was a pretty calm, uncomplicated life.
Did your parents appreciate art? I'm just curious, when you were younger, did they take you to museums?
No. I don't think, it wasn't really until I got into college that I started going to art museums. In fact, the first piece of art that I bought actually was given to me by an actual art student that I was friends with, and it was part of his senior art show, and I actually was watching him create it, and I loved it. And so Nick said, well, you can have it.
Wow.
And so that's hanging on the wall in the hallway there.
So you still have it?
I still do.
Wonderful.
I still do. It's been reframed once, but yeah, I'll never part with it. It's very special to me. Very special to me.
Now, where did you go to school?
I went to what's one of the state university campuses in Oshkosh.
Oh.
Northern part
I have a
of the
brother
state.
that lived in Oshkosh.
Yeah, where they make the overalls, yeah.
Well, he worked for Kohler.
Okay, yes. So, yeah, it was, I loved college. It was fun.
What was your major? I'm curious.
I changed my major 3 times.
Good for you. That's normal.
And ended up being a sociology major. So I had a major in sociology and minor degrees in philosophy, business administration, and journalism.
Okay.
So I had probably a liberal arts degree when you think about it. That was probably what I had.
So now you said you met Russ, if you don't mind. So Russ Ward was the president of our board. He's the immediate past chair. So where did you meet Russ?
I met him, I had finished school and was working in Madison, living with my best friend from college. And Russ and his roommates were living in the next apartment building over. My sister started dating one of the roommates, and we ended up having a homecoming brunch. And that's the first time I met Russ. And I guess it was meant to be.
That's lovely.
So we met in Madison.
Okay. How many years have you been married, if you don't mind me asking?
We are approaching in November our 40, wait a minute, 70, 50, oh my gosh. This is going to be our 50th wedding anniversary.
Good for
in November.
you.
Yeah, you know, with the pandemic, a long time ago we thought, oh, we're going to have a big party, and it's kind of all gone by the wayside.
Right.
So, yeah.
The new normal, right?
The new normal.
Yeah.
We'll celebrate at some point. But.
Now, did Russ introduce you to art? I'm just curious.
No.
No?
No. I became seriously interested in art when I was working here for public broadcasting, for WMHT.
And how long were you at WMHT?
About 9 years.
Okay.
And I ended up being in charge of the televised art auctions that they had.
Oh.
And I met all these amazing artists who were so generous with their work, you know, donating. And I thought, you know, I should join the Colony Art League just as a support, you know. And they started, coincidentally, they started to offer some classes for absolute beginners. So I actually started out taking watercolor classes and worked with a couple of different people, and I liked it, and I never really felt 100% comfortable with that medium. And I kind of, you know, I went from watercolor to collage and assemblage, and then I discovered alcohol inks. So I think some of my real art education has been, I think, incredible because it's been given to me by established artists in the community and who have been generous in wanting to share their knowledge and their talent. So I've had a little bit of experience with a lot of different people.
Yeah. Now,
And
what is assemblage?
assemblage is like found objects.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
some people call them shadow boxes.
Okay.
That's not really
Okay.
a term I particularly like. But I've had some of them at shows, it's fun. But this alcohol ink is my passion right now.
So explain alcohol ink to everyone. What is alcohol ink?
Alcohol ink is a pigment that is based in alcohol, and you have to use it on a completely non-porous surface because it soaks in. It's not like a paint that'll sit on a surface for a while. If you put it on something that is porous, it will soak right in. So you can manipulate it with more alcohol, rubbing alcohol, and it's just the colors. I'm fascinated with the colors, and one of my biggest inspirations has been an artist whose name is Douglas Truth, and he had a saying. He said he never met a color he didn't like.
How's that neat?
I thought that was just the
Now,
neatest
have you
thing.
met this gentleman?
I have, yeah. We're friends.
Okay.
He's out in California now, but we have a couple of his prints, and we email back and forth once in a while.
That's a pretty profound statement if you think about it.
It is.
Yeah.
I never met a color I didn't like, and I think that's.
Now, I see there's a sample here. If I'm going to hand this to you, do you mind describing this? Because this.
Oh well, this is a kind of a combination.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, exactly.
The back. This is the alcohol ink.
Okay.
This is actually a piece of glass that I created over at Corning.
Lovely.
Fused glass.
Okay.
So this is done on a tile. This piece here is done on a particular kind of paper called Yupo. It's almost like a plastic.
Gotcha.
Because it's non-porous.
Right.
The screen there is also alcohol ink without any kind of a backing, and so the light comes through it.
Yeah, it's pretty. Absolutely.
So that was kind of fun.
I had commented to Marjorie when we got started, this beautiful print over here, this piece here, and it said it looked like pansies. She said, great, because that's what I named it.
Very good.
But, you know, the application of alcohol ink and really the diversity of what you can create is pretty incredible.
It is. If it left to its own devices, it's completely, it flows, you know, before it dries, it'll mix in with whatever color's next to it, and you can kind of blow on it. And I've taught the classes over at the Beltron.
Okay. Right.
And that's where we do it. But this takes a little more work because you have to push it around.
Well, you have to. That was your
if you want it
purpose
to
of doing
make
that
it look
piece
like something,
was to
right,
look like
yeah.
pansies, correct?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. Where I would assume sometimes maybe you start and then you see what happens.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, one thing that I would like to discuss is all the classes you've done for the Colony Art League for children to kind of introduce young people to art.
Oh, wow. Yeah, the Colony Art League for years, many years, has had a summer art program over at the Prime House for basically the 5th, 6th, 7th grade age. Unfortunately, last year and again this year, we are not going to be doing it. But working with the kids was so much fun. And I kind of arranged things, and then other people from the Art League taught some of the classes, and we always had a great response. And the kids are amazing because they're not afraid to try anything. Yeah. And whatever they do, they think it's the most beautiful thing that's ever been done. They think they love it. And they, you know, when the parents come to pick them up, they go, look what I did. And sometimes it's hard to wrestle things away from them to put them in the show that we have at the end because they want to take it home. But you know, we want this on the show, and you know, so it's. I'm sure that the league will continue to do that in some way in conjunction with the Prime House.
Right. Now, how many years have you done those classes for the kids?
I did 6 summers of those classes.
So since about 2014, thereabouts.
Roughly, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
now are there any of those students, so they're 5th, 6th, 7th graders, did any of those students subsequently go to college and major in art?
Oh, I wish I knew.
Okay, I didn't know if you had one
there
of those
were some
stories.
very talented children, really talented children. And I wish that the schools could make art more available to more children.
Yeah.
Maybe in grade school and high school, I don't know, maybe there was something there that I could have developed more than this.
Right.
But yeah, and now with, budget cuts and everything, funding, it's one of the first things to go.
Right, yeah.
Although I have done, I've done some Zoom art classes with some of our little nieces and nephews, which have been fun to do. So I've sent them like a packet of materials.
And walk them through.
I walk through it. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
But working with the children is really very rewarding.
So it sounds like you've tried several different mediums. I know over on your counter you have pieces of glass. There's another piece of infused glass there. You've done watercolor. You've done alcohol ink. You've done collages, right? And
so bit of pottery. Cool.
And what, do you kind of go through phases, or is there one that you really enjoy doing more than others?
I found it. I think alcohol ink is. I would like to get back to watercolor.
Okay.
But it's a very. For now, I've put it aside for a while. So I'll get back to it because I do. I liked it. I just didn't. I felt I had kind of reached a point where I wasn't moving forward. Very.
Now, is the Colony Art League still doing, I know, we're in the middle of the pandemic, but are they still doing classes? So for it's not beginner, it's the absolute beginner.
No, not for a long time. No, they really haven't done that. What they do at every meeting, that when we meet every month, there's always a demonstration. Okay. And that's usually by somebody other than a member of the league, although we are starting to use our own membership. So anyone is welcome to come to those meetings. It's like $5 for a guest. And then they do workshops, which I believe are starting up again. We have been having those socially distanced, lots of room, and those are usually pretty well-known artists. Very well-known artists that come in from Vermont, Massachusetts, Connecticut to do those workshops.
Right.
And those are like a 2 or 3 day
Now, if somebody would be interested in possibly looking at joining the Colony Art League, do they have to be an artist in their own right?
No,
They
no,
take-
no, no,
Yeah.
no. It's great to have people come and just support the league,
Right.
because we do have a scholarship fund.
Nice.
So memberships and guest fees help support that. We give scholarships to North and South County graduating seniors
Oh, isn't that
who are going
wonderful?
on to high school or on to art school.
Oh, isn't that wonderful?
That's been something that's been very,
Yeah,
very
just
successful.
supporting the next generation
Yeah.
of artists.
So, oh no, we welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you never know. Somebody like me, might just decide that maybe they would like. And there are people in the league who teach those classes.
Mhm.
It's just kind of being done on an individual basis now, especially. So, yeah.
Right.
But there's always opportunities.
Now, I've gone
learn.
to a couple of your shows,
Yes,
so
you have.
maybe yes, and they're always so fun. So maybe talk about some of the opportunities you've had to have a show or an exhibit.
Oh, well, the Colony, I belong to the Colony Art League, the Schenectady Art Society, and the Firehouse Artists. And each of those groups has shows
Okay.
in different places, and that's fun. Last year, I had the unique and amazing opportunity to have a show at the Art Associates Gallery in Albany with 3 other artists, and it was scheduled. We were going to be there the entire month of April 2020. We had everything done, cards printed, posters, newspaper articles, everything done, and 2 weeks before we had to cancel the show because the gallery had to close.
Yeah.
It was a heartbreak.
I know.
I was so upset. But the gallery gave us the month of December. And we thought back then, things will be fine. We will be able to do this. It will be great. Well, guess what? We ended up having a show,
Okay.
and I believe 6 people came
Okay.
to see the work.
Yeah.
It just wasn't. But
Right. It was probably.
but I still ended up selling 2 pieces that
Good
way.
for you.
But it's you know, having shows that people actually attend right now. Most of what we're doing right now is virtual.
Right.
So
I think I shared Colony Senior Service Centers prior to the pandemic. We used to do sacred spaces. So every month we'd go to a different place of worship.
yeah.
And so we were it was a church, I'm trying to remember now, Episcopal Church. It was on State Street in Albany. And we go into this kind of community room, and there's all this art, and it's broken like in 2 sections. So there's 2 different artists.
Mhm.
And one of those was yours. And I was so shocked.
gosh,
I
that
go,
was a
oh my
while
gosh,
ago.
these are Marjorie
Oh
Ward.
my gosh.
And so it was really, and it was the church where they used to have the 8-step coffee house.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember the church.
Was it
yeah.
a Unitarian church?
Unitarian.
It's a
I'm
Unitarian
saying
church, yes,
Episcopal,
yes.
Unitarian.
It was a
You're
Unitarian
absolutely
church.
right.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So that was kind of fun. I'm like, hey,
Yeah,
you
I
know.
was invited, yeah.
Yeah.
But I did do this past fall. I did do the Stockade Art Show. That's outside.
Yeah.
We were spread way apart. They really didn't advertise it. It was kind of word of mouth.
Yeah.
And people were so happy to be able to be out and doing something. And everybody was wearing masks. It was great.
Yeah.
And I had one of my most successful Stockade shows
Oh, that's wonderful.
last fall.
Do you think, I'm just wondering your opinion, the pandemic has, kind of caused all of us to kind of stop and take a step back. And I'm just wondering if people's appreciation of art may grow out of this. The staying local and visiting museums or
That's
supporting local
interesting,
art.
yeah.
I'm wondering, as we kind of pivot, people's perspectives might change.
I'd like to hope so. I know a lot of people who have been taking advantage of things that the Albany Institute of History and Art have been doing, remote. There's a lot that's organizations, institutions, galleries, museums have really had to struggle, but some of them have been very creative in what they've done.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important. In fact, the Colony Art League has a show online right now. Colony Art League, and you'll find it.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah. I have a piece.
So
here.
what advice would you give to
Oh,
an older
what do you want to know?
person who might be thinking about, I would love, always wanted to try to watercolor or alcohol ink or collage or whatever that is, and maybe never had the courage or know where to go to get the instruction? What advice would you give that person?
There are classes, for instance, the Art Center of the Capital Region in Troy offers a huge variety of classes, many of them for beginners. I believe places like the museum, State Museum, from time to time have classes. The Albany Institute of History and Art offers things. So I think you just have to kind of look around, but contacting any of the, like the County Art League, there are people that are teaching. But it's interesting you use that term, older people, because one of my biggest inspirations was my aunt. And she was very creative. She was kind of like the Martha Stewart of her era. She could cook and bake and decorate and she took up oil painting when she was in her 60s. In fact, there's 2 of her ducks here on the wall. And at the time I just thought, wow, that's very interesting that somebody would, she was a registered nurse, and when she retired, that's what she decided to do because she had time. And I think there've been I've met other people who've done the same thing. So it's never too late. Never too late. Never too late. When I teach the classes over at the center there, some of these people come in and go, I'm not an artist, my friend made me come, and at the end they're like over the moon because they've created these pieces that they can walk away with. I did this, and it's very it's fun to see people decide that they really do have some talent.
Right, and creativity.
Absolutely.
And have the ability to do
Absolutely. Yeah.
So nice. So one thing hoping that you would be willing to talk about is Relay for Life.
Oh, I'd be happy to talk about Relay for Life.
That would be great.
I am a 20-year breast cancer survivor, and for the last 13 years, I have been participating in the Siena College Relay for Life for the American Cancer Society. And I'm proud to say, single-handedly raised about $50,000.
Wow.
Over those years.
Congratulations.
So it's something that I've been, it's a big part of my life, and it's something that I've decided is I will do that until I can't do it anymore.
It's that important.
It's that important.
Yeah.
And again, they call me the grandmother of the relay because there's all these college kids and then me, and so it's been kind of I'm inspired by these kids because almost everybody that participates in that has a reason. They've lost a parent, they have a brother or a sister or aunt who's either going through cancer treatment or has died, and so they usually have a real specific reason for doing the relay, and that's really what keeps me
immediate
going.
Connection,
Absolutely, yeah. So that's kind of that's the other me.
Yeah. Now I'm wondering your involvement with Relay for Life, and then how active you are in art. Is doing art kind of your zen?
Absolutely. When the pandemic became a reality, I painted almost every day.
Wow.
For about a month.
Therapeutic.
Yes. The show had been canceled, so I had this huge body of work already, and I just kept creating more. It was very, very helpful. I could sit here at the table, watch
the world go by. She's got a great view of it. Watch everything going on in our neighborhood.
I know all the dogs in the neighborhood now, and who they belong to. Right. Yeah. Who's getting a new couch,
Oh, that's funny.
No, it was, and it's interesting. A lot of artists went either one direction or the other. Either they just stopped creating, or they went full tilt into it. It's interesting to talk to people how they reacted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's fascinating. That is. Well, on behalf of Colony Senior Service Centers, our staff and board, I want to thank Marjorie Ward for taking the time today to have a conversation. Thank you, Marjorie.
Well, it's been my pleasure.